Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
Derek, Lamaster.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek turns into William Shatner when he introduces himself. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Pretty good, pretty good. We had a full script read through last night, and that went incredibly well, right, Derek?
It did. I was on mute most of the time, but it went well.
Nice.
Which is probably where I'll be most of tonight, but hey.
Yeah, Derek has a cold. So he was going to read the scene descriptions. And he started and he got like 5 lines in. He's like reading it. Whatever. Well, and I said, okay, stop. I'm going to take this over. So I just read it from then. And there were some actors that couldn't make it. And so I played like 4 different roles as well. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, they do call you the chameleon. For a reason.
Definitely was that. Especially there's a point where there's a character, a minor character in the script. I won't spoil it, but there's a minor character in the script. And that's just a day player. So he wasn't on the call or cast yet. And so I just I had done all these other roles. So when it came time for that, I just put on I was like, hey, what are you doing here? I was like, he's from Brooklyn. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I just need this guy to sound different. I've been saying all these other lines. But yeah, it went well.
Very
good.
But
guys, tonight we're here to talk about a new film. One of the newer ones that we've done, 2024 film, Osgood Perkins, thriller, Longlegs, which is quite the film. We'll get into it. But first, I've got a wee bit of horror news, literally a wee bit. We don't have a lot of horror news today. So let's talk about the stuff real fast that I know we need to talk about, which is we have some losses. Not necessarily horror related, but movie, some big stars. Michelle Trachtenberg passed away very young, the age of 39, I believe, which is very sad. That happened this week. And then the great Gene Hackman and his wife also passed away. But at least we found him this week, which is a big loss. Gene Hackman's one of my all-time favorite actors. He's in his 90s. But one of my all-time favorite actors, always has been. Dude could literally read a phone book and I'd be riveted. So good couple of losses there, and Godspeed. You guys like Gene Hackman, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, from the movies I've seen him in, he's always like a very commanding presence.
Yeah. That's just the best way to describe him.
Yeah, first experience was Superman.
Yeah.
But then, later seeing like Hoosiers, and I mean he's been in a ton of stuff, and he's always been great. That's a big loss. But he hasn't acted in quite a while.
Over 20 years, yeah. Yeah, he retired about 20 years ago.
Wasn't he in The Quick and the Dead?
He was in Sam Raimi's The Quick and the Dead. He's excellent in The Quick and the Dead.
Yeah.
The Quick and the Dead in general just kicks ass if anybody who wants to watch it. It's awesome. It's Sam Raimi doing a Western. What could you like more? Nothing. It's everything you want. For me, Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor, Derek. Yes, that was when I first saw him as well as a child. He's great in the Superman movies, but my favorite roles have always been like Unforgiven. He's great in Unforgiven, and Mississippi Burning, and Hoosiers, like you mentioned. But The French Connection, when I was a teenager, I saw The French Connection for the first time, and it fucking blew me away. And it was for the longest time, it was one of my favorite movies. It still is one of my favorites, but it was like my favorite movie. Like I watched it all the time. I had Jacob watch it with me, and he was like, "This is like the oldest movie ever made." I was like, "It's not, first of all." And then he ended up liking it when he watched it because he watched that and the sequel, which I also have, and liked them both. But he was like, "What's that really old movie?" I was like, "The French Connection." He's like, "Yeah, the one where they chase the guy." I was like, "Yeah, it's a good one." Won an Oscar for that
Who
one.
was saying this?
Jacob.
Jacob.
When I was a kid, when I was a teenager getting into these movies, Jake was, several years younger than me and would always watch whatever I was watching. So he was all about checking it out with me. And that one and Chinatown is another one that we talked about because he's like, "Jamie, what's that movie where he's like, my daughter, my sister, my daughter, my sister?" I was like, "That's Chinatown, buddy."
He still quotes that every chance he gets.
Yeah, it's like, forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. Great movie too. The little bit of horror news we have here, we kind of get a little behind the scenes of some Scream 7. So, we talked about that. How it was weird that, Patrick Dempsey wasn't in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he was asked about it, and he said it just didn't work out. He says he was dealing with this is according to Variety. He said we were dealing with the fires and everything that was going on, and the schedule didn't work out. So basically, it was literally scheduling conflict is why we're not getting Mark Kincaid, which is kind of lame. But
super lame.
It is the way of the biz, I would have liked to see him back, right?
I suppose. I mean, you might as well keep it consistent if you're going to keep making these. But like you said, that's just the way sometimes.
Way of it. I like his character, don't you, Derek? In part 3.
Yeah, part 3. That was the one where she had a brother, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I only saw that one time, and it was in whenever it
one
came
time.
out, and...
You've only seen
part
Scream
3.
Really? I've literally seen every single one of those movies like fucking 50.
Dude, from there, I saw the one with Kirby. And then I
part 4.
One since.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
all
probably the
Wes
last one I
Craven.
saw too.
All the Wes Craven ones. Yeah, we've got to watch those other ones. They're pretty good, and we'll get into them. This would have been appropriate a couple weeks ago, but Haley Joel Osment is joining the Burbs TV series.
What?
Yep. So Haley Joel Osment is joining R.J. Seiler, Justin Kirk, Kyrie McAlpin, Danielle Kennedy, Randy Oglesby, Kiki Palmer, Mark Prokish, Jack Whitehall, Julia Duffy, Paula Pell. So a lot of people are going to be in this. Nice. Celeste Huey is the one that's adapting it. It's set in the modern day suburbia. The Burbs follows a young couple returning to the husband's childhood home. Interesting. The world is up.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Their world is upended when new neighbors move in next door, bringing old secrets of the cul-de-sac to light. And new deadly threats shatter the illusion of their quiet little neighborhood. Interesting. I mean, it's not going to be able to compete with the Burbs, right, guys? I mean,
I don't know how it could. I mean,
No, I don't.
It's just, it's not going to be the same. That's for sure.
Well, no. In the Burbs, you know how, I mean, we just did it, and I think we all gave it like incredibly high marks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. And then finally, this last bit of horror news, another bit of casting news on another TV series remake. Patrick Wilson is joining the Cape Fear series for Apple TV. So we know that Amy Adams is playing Anna Boden, and we know that Javier Bardem is playing Max Cady. So I'm going to assume that he's going to be, Nick Bowden. I'm assuming that he's going to be not Tom Bowden. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the lawyer character, the Nick Nolte role. you know,
Yep.
that would make the most sense, right? So we will see. We don't have any announcements yet, but I love Patrick Wilson. He's great and everything.
Yeah, I could see him. I could see him in that role.
Yeah. God, how great is Scorsese's Cape Fear, guys? I know we did it on the podcast.
Dude.
It's so fucking good.
It is so good. It's crazy good.
Yeah, I remember when we did that. We all quite like that one. It's just a fun ride. That's a fun ride. Which we might get a fun ride tonight because I'm picking. So we'll see. We'll see what we're in for. But guys, now to get to what we came here for. Longlegs. Osgood Perkins Longlegs. So none of you guys had seen this before, right?
No.
And had you heard of it? How did you guys hear about it?
I heard about it all over the internet. A lot of people talking about it. A lot of scary movie stuff pops up on my feed, so I saw a lot of the Longlegs characters like face prosthetics and stuff like that. So that was all kind of spoiled for me already, but
yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah,
but it was still cool.
Yeah. So how about you, Derek?
I didn't know shit
No.
about this movie. Only from what Lydia told us or what we talked about on the podcast. So when I first saw Nick, I was like, damn.
Yeah, I knew a little bit. I didn't know anything plot wise except for the basic cookie cutter plot that we get, that FBI agent hunting down a serial killer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I tried purposely not to like dig into anything like that because I knew I wanted to watch it eventually. I just hadn't got around to it. I knew it got some, really pretty solid reviews from critics and whatever, which is interesting. We'll get into a little bit as well because the audience score for this thing was a C+. So there's definitely a disconnect from the audience and critic score in the opposite way, which is funny. Because sometimes, you know how critics give like movies that are a lot of fun and good. That is a lot of fun and good, kind of bad raps where the audience is like, loved it.
Right.
This one seems to be a little bit the opposite, where the critics are like, great, and the audience is like. So we'll get into that and see how we feel about it. But yeah, I only saw those little bits, and then I did unfortunately see some of his face from the trailer too. You see a little bit of his face in the trailer, and then I saw memes of his face, and I was like, Nick is not looking good.
I didn't see the trailer. I didn't see anything online. So when he popped up, it was all new.
Yeah. So I watched this with Jake, and Jake had no idea who that was.
Oh, he didn't?
He had no idea. Somehow it had not been spoiled to him, and he missed like the credits at the beginning, so he didn't see like his name as a producer or anything. So we're sitting there and it's about halfway through the movie, and he's saying, I wonder who plays that creepy guy. Like, what is going on there? And I was like, you don't know who that is? And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you because it will ruin the movie for you.
Yes. It's very distracting when you know who it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's also it's incredibly obvious if you just, when he starts doing his acting. His
I know,
acting.
yeah. I was like, you'll probably never guess, but you could potentially, like, based on the acting choices, but
yeah, and the voice, because he still sounds like him.
Yeah, but with that,
putting
like,
on voice, yeah,
he couldn't figure it out. So I think that says a lot about the prosthetics and the tone of the movie, even like that he was just like, wait, what? Like, that's who that was, which was really fun for me to experience his surprise.
That's funny. So this movie is interesting. The tone of this movie is interesting. because it's kind of a couple of competing tones, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
We get this super somber, kind of self-serious serial killer procedural that ends up going in this B-movie bonkers third act, and kind of like whenever Nicolas Cage starts acting, you know what kind of movie you're in. When he starts getting stuff to do, some of the choices he goes with. But the movie looks gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
The cinematography is great.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
They use
agree,
a lot of, you know, sparsely lit sets and a lot of gold lighting. You guys notice that?
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's very sun-kissed and gold in the lighting. Even their flashlights, when they're going through the farmhouse, is just like, it's not like a white flashlight. It's this gold.
Yeah. Or it's not like a blue tinted.
Well, it's a period piece too, right?
It is, but I mean, flashlights weren't gold in the 90s.
I mean, I disagree because a lot of, I mean, it just depends on how new your flashlight was, but all the flashlights at my house look like that, like amber, yellow,
Like warm white.
yeah. Although, you know, we bought our flashlights at fucking Dollar General.
Yeah, these were
So-
mag lights. They were using like mag lights. They were that color. I mean, they're
sorry.
FBI agents. Yeah, that was rough. So where do you guys want to begin with this thing? Because there's really a lot of it is just piecing stuff together. So there's not a lot to talk about except performance-wise and stuff.
Mhm.
But this opening scene, let's start there. Because it ties back. And did you guys piece anything together from just the opening scene?
Remind me what the opening scene was.
The opening scene is just we see a little girl walk out, see a station wagon,
Yes. Okay.
and then old Longlegs pops up and he says like that little bit about like, oh, I don't have my long legs on or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we go into the credits, and it's shot almost in like a 4:3 aspect ratio, like an old tube TV. And then when the movie proper starts, we go into like the, you know, basically a 2:3:5:1 aspect ratio, scope ratio. What'd you guys think of that?
I rewound it to get because his face comes into frame just for a second or two. So I rewound it just so that I could like get a glimpse of him. But I thought, you know, this movie does start a little slow. And then when you get to, I don't know if we want to jump ahead to that part, but I thought that it was a little, what's the word I'm looking for? It was a little like discombobulated.
Mm-hmm.
And then about halfway through the movies when you really started to like, they've laid enough groundwork for you to start piecing stuff together. But yeah, I thought the opening scene was interesting because he just kind of left you hanging, and then you're like, okay, will that person die or what happened to that little girl?
So I agree, but I felt like that little girl was going to be our main character as an adult. That just made the most sense. I'm gonna break this in two, but I kind of felt like that would be kind of the thing that would happen. Is that
I assumed that as well. I was like, this must be our character when she was little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of one of those, you know. Yeah. I mean, it just didn't make. I mean, I didn't know exactly what the full twist is, but I knew that she definitely was involved somehow, or she had run in with him, you know, when she was younger, especially the stuff that was starting to build because we get that opening scene, or after that we get the scene of them like she's on like an there's the debriefing scene. So we're thrown into just like a debriefing scene. We don't know how much time has passed. We don't know what era we're in. And we just have to basically put those clues together that were in the 1990s by like just subtle little things give that to us. I mean, the fact that things from the 70s were 20 some years ago, the fact that there's just a giant Bill Clinton picture hanging on the wall of the FBI. You're like, well, obviously that means that he was president at the time. Those little things. But so we get the scene where they're investigating a serial killer, and she senses the house that the killer's at, and like, how do you what's going on? And she's like, you need to call it in. It's his house. And he's like, well, let's go investigate it first. And then he just gets his head shot off.
Yeah, that guy was definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not.
I
And then
called
she
that
just-
one too. I was like, oh, that guy's not going to be.
Yeah, he's
Something's
dead.
going on here. I was like, she's got
Yep.
some kind of ability, clearly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she did not want him to go to that house. So
I mean, if you're in his shoes and your partner's just like, yep, that's the one, I would also have been a little skeptical. So I probably would have been like, you know what? Let's just go chat with them. And I mean, I probably would have died too. So I'm not going to fault him for that. I'd have been like, yeah, dot our T's and cross our I's.
always
Cross
listen to
our
the creepy,
lowercase
quiet woman.
J's.
I said that to my boss one day and really just caught her off guard. Like, cross our T's and dot our lowercase J's.
Some old Wayne's World. Some Wayne's World
Yeah,
too.
she started laughing.
The guy with the fucked up eye. That's good stuff. Yeah. It was a really weird scene because we're kind of, like I said, thrown in. Then we don't know what case we're investigating. He's shot. She goes up and just holds him at gunpoint, and he gives up. And that's the last we ever hear or see of that. And so it's just like, that's weird.
Day in the life.
Yep. And then we get an extremely bizarre scene following it where there's just a screen and she's like just given questions and she has to like answer the screen. What does this mean to you? What does this mean? It's like a psyche eval.
Yeah.
And then, randomly generated numbers she has to pick. And we find out that she got half of them right. Like 6, what was it, 8? She got 8 right, but she missed 8 as well. And so her boss is like, half psychic is better than no psychic.
I mean,
so
that's still statistically impressive. Like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Some
almost
ability there.
impossible. It's almost impossible to get half of those right of randomly generated numbers. So he just throws her on this case, this Longlegs case, which is like this weird, people, fathers of families kill their family and then end their own life. And yet there's always a note left behind at each crime scene with the same like satanic writing on it and stuff, just like this weird code, and it's always signed Longlegs. So they're like, we don't know what's going on. There's no forensics. Nobody ever shows that anybody else was in the house, and basically we don't know if this guy is telling them to do something, then he does it. I don't get it. So that's kind of where we're left off. What are you guys thinking at this point?
I'm trying to figure out what kind of movie it is. Because I'm trying to, it starts out a lot like Silence of the Lambs. Then it heads a little bit into like a supernatural, like psychic piece. And and I lost my train of thought. Like, what was the thing?
It ends in like a devil worshipping cult. thing.
It
Well,
does
like
end
the
up becoming a
Zodiac,
worshiping
like
cult, but
the
like,
Yeah.
Zodiac serial killer notes.
Yeah.
oh, that's what I was gonna say. And like at this point, because the Silence of the Lambs supernatural thing, and then you get these like cryptic messages. It's kind of like the Zodiac. Like at this moment, I was trying to figure out what kind of movie this is because it has thrown a lot out, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what direction are you going?
Yeah. It does. It
Kind of
throws
like
a lot out
The
at you
Walking
pretty
Distance.
quick.
What direction are you going?
Yeah, you're just doing
That's the
impressions
worst
like crazy
Christopher
tonight.
Walken. It's probably because of my throat sore is why it sounded so bad.
But, Chris Walken and Bill Shatner, you're just doing all the classics tonight. Yeah, you're right, Derek. It does feel like that. Like it's just like a lot, of different things. And then even following that, she calls her mom, she has a conversation with her mom at her house. And after she falls asleep putting together, like looking at the folder, and she has these like visions. And then she goes home, and while she's at home, she sees something outside her house. So she goes to investigate, and then it's inside her house, and there's a note or a card left for her, and she solves the cipher. That was interesting. Like it's just yeah, a lot happening. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Because you're getting these like supernatural like tones, which when you think of a movie like Zodiac or Silence of the Lambs or something, like which this movie seems like it's going for, and then you just throw in this like really weird stuff that doesn't make any sense. You're kind of like,
yeah,
well, what is going on here? It's kind of definitely like it pulled me in. I'm like trying to guess every little thing that's going on. It's like
it felt like like Alan Wake is what it felt like to me. Like Alan Wake or Control or one of those games set in that world. Like, I mean, so the game Control is a PS4 game. Xbox game that you're like this supernatural, like a part of the supernatural agency essentially, and it felt a lot like that. That's part of the Alan Wake universe and stuff. So as I was watching it, I was like, is this like fucking Control the movie? I don't understand what's going on. But yeah, because you do get some. There's definitely. It owes a lot to Silence of the Lambs and Zodiac for the look of the movie and the kind of pacing. But in the original tone, especially since your main character is kind of Clarice Starling, except not as interesting. Because she's kind of like just a blank slate the entire movie, I feel like.
Yeah.
You're muted, Derek.
I know I was going to unmute myself if you would just give me a chance. She does have that Starling quality to her.
Yeah, she seems like so reserved,
detached,
and like like she seems like she doesn't want to get close to anyone because a lot of bad things have happened around her.
Well, and she definitely seems like through most of this movie, you're right, Jamie. You do feel like she is connected to the beginning, and it's more like, oh, she must have had a run-in with this character. She must be one of the survivors, and she must have had some sort of trauma, and she's blocked it out. That's really where my mind was through like a good part of the first like half of this movie and like leading into the the back end. But
yeah. So when she starts piecing together the notes, and then they end up going to like this farmhouse, and they find a doll buried there, and then the doll. So this is when the movie turns into like a sequel to Dead Silence as well. It's like just this doll comes out, and we get like an autopsy on this doll, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And there's phantasm balls in its head.
Yeah. Yeah. That was honestly for the whole movie, I think that was probably the most confusing thing for me was the balls in the heads of the dolls. Like, what is that about? I still don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure.
I mean, I took it as like that's a piece of him that he's put in there. Like, what piece of him? Although there
Yeah,
is a really good subtle effect when they introduce the doll of like whenever the like thing is draped over its face, there's the hint of like the red eyes underneath.
Red eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool.
I really like that.
I did too.
Yeah, we see it. We see it quite a few times throughout the movie. The red eyes.
Yeah,
with the thing draped over it.
That was great.
It's like the devil watching or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then she goes and visits after they do that autopsy thing, and it's like, look, it says all this, makes this noise, and it was talking about my ex-wife. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then they go and visit the lone survivor of one of the murders because one of the kid wasn't home at the time. So she survived the murders, but basically went crazy and is in like a catatonic state. And then by the time they go to visit her, she's out of this because she was visited by Longlegs, obviously, but visited by somebody using Lee, our special agent's name, Lee Harker. And so this scene where she talks to the woman is very weird, very interesting. What'd you guys think of it?
Yeah, it was creepy. It was creepy. I really liked it. Like, I liked the dialogue that she had. It was kind of fun. The way she was talking was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like the way it was interesting the way she was talking, like her word choices, like the way she was like saying me thinks or whatever, just like weird English.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like a child. I mean, so she had been kind of catatonic for a long time, like a couple of, I think, 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Sorry, there was a weird noise.
Well, probably Longlegs down there.
No, it was a siren or like a something.
I don't mean to kill her. I mean like Daddy Longlegs probably rolling around down there.
I definitely got to get a better sense of humor because I did that twice, not knowing that I had done it twice.
He says, "I really have to get a better sense of humor."
It's taken him this long, huh?
To realize
yes.
it,
yeah. He's a slow learner, that Derek.
That's right. We love you, Derek. We know you're sick.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. I mean, I didn't excuse the other 4 years, but that's fine.
I mean, I have had a bit of a cloudy brain, and that's mean.
And that's mean, he says. So then things kind of start to like, none of it really still makes sense. But then when she goes to visit the mom, like instantly when we meet the mom, I was like, oh, she's the accomplice. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I literally, as soon as I saw what she was wearing, I was like, well, she's a bad guy. I saw like her like knit like crocheted jacket and was like, well, called it out loud. I was like, she's a creep.
Yep. She's part of the Longlegs clothes wearing. It looks like only Longlegs wear those crocheted sweaters.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, it just was like one of those. I mean, obviously she's hiding something, and
kind of like the Carrie mom.
Yeah. And you're like, well, she's creepy. And then when she's like talking about there's another accomplice, you can't do it alone. It's the accomplice like, it's your mom. It's your mom. Listen, Lee, it's your mom. So the scenes we get of Longlegs before he gets caught are very special. I mean, we get him in the basement, like making his dolls or whatever, and then we get him driving the car and just like just doing Nick Cage shit. Basically, that's what he's doing, just Nicolas Cage stuff. I'm here. Give me a second. I don't know why I really don't know why he keeps doing this.
It's having a tough time tonight.
It is. It's driving me nuts. But he's doing the Nick Cage stuff, making bizarre noises, yelling, and you know what he does.
Yeah.
But then he goes to the store to buy some stuff and has an interaction with the young cashier. What do you guys think of this?
I liked it. For the most part, I liked all of his scenes. I think I did. I'm like this one especially. I liked the interaction. I think it definitely would have been probably easier to like if didn't know who it was, but I think the prosthetics are just really, really effective on me. Like they're so creepy. If I was in that girl's position, I would be like out of there. Like I would not be hanging around to find out what that guy was doing.
The best part is that he, comes there all the time, so she knows who he is.
Yeah.
And the dad basically makes him leave every time, but he's just like, "When's your birthday?" And does that like weird. He's like, "Cuckoo, cuckoo." I was like, "What the fuck?" Nick Cage's like, I got an idea, guys. I think I'm gonna do this. And Osgood Perkins is like, all right.
Yeah.
Are you really going to tell Nick Cage?
If I was directing Nick Cage, exactly. If I was directing Nick Cage and he's like, guys, I think I'm gonna do this, I'd go, all right.
Yeah.
Let's try it, Nick.
If you're gonna have someone play like a devil worshipping psycho, I think you found the guy. Okay. Like he's crazy. It's perfect. It makes perfect sense.
So funny, cracked me up. But yeah, the mom instantly you're like, yeah, I mean that's who it is. And then, she's like, well, I didn't throw anything away. So, because she's like, nope, nothing happened. I'm not going to talk about it. Nothing ever happened. You say your prayers to keep you safe and all this. And you're like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
As soon as
tons
she
of red
said
flags
that,
over here.
As soon as she said that, I called that too. I was like, she probably like sold her firstborn or something. Yeah, like something along those lines. And then you start seeing the devil shadow lurking in the background of the cabin, like all those little things. I was like, okay, yeah. I see where this
now
is
we know
going.
where we are. Now we know where we are. Now it makes sense.
But you still have the mystery of, who's like they have to find the killer. Like there still is a serial killer that's somehow doing something here.
And so they,
as far as they know, anyways.
Yeah. So she finds a picture of Longlegs that she took, and we get the full flashback. Oh, look, she did this. She snapped a picture of him when he was over there, and the mom came out and it's like, you need to get the fuck out of here. Essentially, you need to get the fuck out of here. And with the shotgun and stuff, and then she goes to the chief, goes to her boss and is like, hey, look, check this out. This is the guy. Let's get him. And so he's just standing at a bus stop, ready to like try to move on. And he hears the sirens and he knows they're coming for him. So he just, gives up. And then we get like, the his interrogation on a VHS tape. And he's just saying some wild Nick Cage shit. Then he starts singing happy birthday to Lee and stuff. And she's like, how long has this been going on? Or how long does he do this? 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I would just say that guy's crazy.
Well, she's like, where is he? And they're like, he's right under your feet. Like he's downstairs, right under your feet. And I was like, ooh, like that got me. I was like, no, I don't like that. Get him out of there.
He's right in there. He's right here still. He's just chilling. And he was. He's just
your feet.
He's just chilling because the man downstairs, the downstairs man, the man downstairs,
Yes, they
Mr.
make that
Downstairs,
Mr.
Mr.
They make that a
Downstairs, as they
whole
keep calling him.
thing.
Yeah, Mr. Downstairs. And so she goes to
Probably
interrogate
what this
him.
movie should have been called.
Yeah, you think it would have been?
Downstairs, man.
I mean, don't you think that kind of adds up a little bit? Like when you get to the
It
end
does.
of the movie.
It does,
Called
but
it doll face. Or Toys Are Devil, or I don't know.
definitely Toys R Devil is a fucking fantastic title. That's up there with the Devil's Pitchfork.
Toys Are Devil. A slight frown.
Sorry.
You guys are just jealous of my skill set.
I like it.
Oh man, we're gonna write a movie about like an evil toy shop, and it's going to be called Toys R Devil. And then before distribution, they're going to say you got to change this title because it fucking sucks.
You guys are so mean to me.
But anyway, the what do you guys think of their her interrogation of him? Because she just kind of sits there through most of it while he just talks about some random weird shit.
Yeah, I don't know why they let her interrogate him.
Because it's a movie and we need that scene. That's
There's
why.
Well, I was really confused when they were like, "How could you let him do that?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "What? Bang his fucking head on the table until he died?" Yep, I did that. You can blame me.
Like, well, I'm not jumping in the way.
Yeah, might bite your finger off.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she could have kicked him in the face and knocked him down, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I thought the same thing. Like, what is she supposed to do? They let it go.
They should have jumped in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody definitely should have been watching, you know? Yeah. But yeah, it was a pretty effective because he's like basically tells her that, hey, because he's just talking in riddles and dumb shit. And she's like, why are you talking in dumb shit, essentially? And who is your accomplice? And he's like, why don't you ask your mother? I was like, see, told you. Come on. We know that it's here. And, so he slams his just says, hail, he says, hail Satan, which is so funny to me that he literally says, hail Satan. You're like, okay, sure.
Really rubbing it in at this point.
Yeah, hail Satan. And starts slamming his face into the thing. And then, kills, basically crushes his own face off. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of.
Pretty good.
It does. It's almost like the scene in Talk to Me, except the Talk to Me scene is way, way worse. Like, I just think it's like, because this one, we don't care about this guy. So we're like, yeah, go ahead and fucking smash your face off. You're an evil devil worshiper.
Yeah.
And Talk to Me, it's that kid, and he's just slamming it.
Like
and you're
her, like little brother.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my God, it looks so like real. And like,
Yeah, it did.
Oh, that's upsetting. This, you're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, we need to
Very
catalog
good.
the movies that do that death specifically, because that's pretty twisted.
It is a twisted one. So that brings us into like our final act here, where basically she goes to the mom's to get answers. She's like going to bring her in for questioning and stuff. It's like, she's in on it. And the other agent's just like, I'm going to sit here in the car and wait for you. Want me to sit here? She's like, yeah, I want to go in by myself. Why? I'd be like, no, I'm going in with you, just in case. And then she just inexplicably doesn't pay attention to any of her surroundings while she's sitting there and lets a woman dressed as a nun toting a double barrel shoot her right in the face.
Yes.
Twice.
So I was like,
the
thank
second
goodness
time,
they didn't
he's
show
not
us
really gonna
that.
Stop her.
That's true. Yeah. What'd you say, Leah?
I was like, thank goodness they didn't show us that, because Like they did a nice cut away from that, and I was like, phew. After just seeing like smash face.
I mean, she did come from the back to the side.
She did, but she also stands there for a good couple seconds while, you know,
Maybe that lady's
she's just
really
like,
bad at when her peripheral vision is poor.
I think she's just a really bad agent. Yeah.
That's what I'm
what it
saying.
was,
I'm
yeah.
like, they're like, stop letting her go play. She's clearly connected to this guy. They even are like, well, it's really suspicious that he's mentioning your name all the time.
Yeah, how does he know so much about you? How does he know? I mean, your birthday. So when they started mentioning the birthdays as well, like
stuff.
And you're like, oh, well, obviously she's born on the 14th. Obviously.
Yes.
And it's like, found out your birthday's the 14th. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. And the daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember her name right now.
So apparently after Longlegs smashes his face, the girl jumps off of the roof, which, by the way, why are you letting her onto the roof of the facility anyway? But anyway, she jumps off the roof of the facility.
That was just another thing that didn't make sense. That was just like, you could have left that out. You could have, whatever, it's fine.
They wanted to prove that they're all connected or whatever. I get it, but maybe instead of maybe she threw herself out of a window or
had a cut scene, like a slight memory of it. Like it was too easy. They were just like, oh, she jumped out the window.
Even if so, I mean, yeah, it is show don't tell usually, but that's fine. So here's where I kind of have a little bit of issues. The mom is standing with the shotgun because she sees her mom shoot the agent. She goes up and holds the gun at her mom. Stop, mom, stop, or whatever. And she's pointing the gun at a doll, which is a doll of her daughter. She shoots the doll, blows the doll's head off, and this stuff leaves Lee's head.
Yeah, like smoke.
And then
black smoke.
Then she passes out, and we get the whole backstory. I don't love the way that we get it with the once upon a time
the smoke.
I don't guess that he was
at all.
It's because she said basically that he was telling her what she can remember, what she couldn't, and he was kind of showing her what she was basically that's what her psychic stuff was, which doesn't make sense really to me. But showing her where to go, pointing her where to go kind of thing. I don't know.
And it was directly connected to the doll. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
I just don't.
So the doll is basically him. He's now everywhere, but the doll was pieces of him concentrated, and it would corrupt.
Or pieces of the devil? Or of
pieces of Longlegs and the devil. I think they're kind of interchangeable. I think he's it's kind of confusing.
Super confusing.
Basically that he basically is creating satanic dolls is what it boils down to. These magic satanic dolls, and they possess the fathers who kill everybody else and then themselves, right? That's kind of the gist of it.
Right.
But it's told in this, we get a narration telling all of this that happened. And I don't love that device of how it's done. It's fine, I guess. But what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I didn't love it. It would have been much cooler if it would have been her discovering exactly the situation that was going on, rather than it just happening and then us being told that that's what it was. If she would have gone into that basement and seen something terrifying, spooky, satanic,
or piecing together,
and then he's, I don't know, the mom shooting the doll and then being you're free now. I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. And so she basically, Longlegs, went to basically created a doll of her. But I guess there's no father in the picture. Well, I don't get exactly how she fought it off, but basically she's telling him she wouldn't do, they can't have the daughter. And he's like, well, I'll let her live if you do my bidding, essentially. You do my bidding and she will live, kind of thing. And so the mom does the bidding by pretending to be a nun, dropping off these dolls they said is from the church. And then the dolls infect everybody, but the mom has to be there to make sure everything goes according to plan. And then she leaves the note, and then she moves on to the next one. And the reason, I guess, that she does this is to keep her daughter alive.
Right. Fair.
What do you guys think of that? I'll be honest with you. The whole third act of this movie was just... I want to use a word I'm not going to use. It was not good. It was really confusing. Not confusing as in like you didn't know what was going on, but you're just like, why are you not stopping somebody? Like, you're kind of just there, I guess, to witness everything, but you have a gun. Like, why are you not stopping anything? And yeah, you're right. That backstory was just like, okay. Like, it didn't really make any sense. And
and then when we did, then she wakes up, she finds out that Longlegs lives in her mom's basement.
Which I thought was really, really spooky, I have to say. I thought that was so creepy.
The downstairs
man. He's a downstairs man. And so, she gets the call from, like, basically it's Longlegs' demonic voice saying, don't forget about the birthday party or whatever. So she goes to her boss's birthday party, or the boss's kid's birthday party. And the mom's already there with the doll. The girl's playing with the doll. And you're right, Derek. She's standing there with a gun, and she's just like, allows this
I'm gonna
to
let
happen.
the dad murder mom, and I'm gonna watch all this unfold.
Yeah, why didn't she just immediately walk in and put a bullet right in her mom's face? Because she knows she's evil. Right in the doll, initially. Yeah.
Like,
and
we just watched that kind of happen. Like, why? She literally didn't do anything.
Yeah, she stands there and lets, like... Good,
she obviously knew something was going on because the dad was, like, acting weird. Crazy aggressive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just weird immediately when they open the door.
Let them go into the kitchen by themselves in the ominous way that they're talking, like, I'm coming back, but mom's not.
Yeah, and then her mom's like, it's already happening. So they're already dead. They're both dead. She'll be dead soon. And you're like, but they're not. They're right there. So I don't get it.
Yeah.
So she lets her, so the dad goes in, kills the mom, comes out with a knife. She shoots her dead, or she shoots him dead. Then the mom, because the mom's like, if we don't do this, we're going to burn in, basically burn in hell forever or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She goes to attack her with a knife. My God. Oh, I don't understand why this is constantly happening tonight. But she goes to attack her with a knife, and so Lee shoots her in the face, kills her, and then she goes to shoot the doll, but the gun won't fire. So either she's out of bullets or it just won't let her destroy the doll.
Mm-hmm.
And then she, says, we got to get out of here. And then we cut to Nick Cage saying, Hail Satan, and then the movie ends. What do you guys think of this ending?
Bad. Just not good. I don't think it's very good storytelling. So, I don't know. It's vague and confusing and not very satisfying in any way.
Right. What do you think,
Which
Derek?
is It's usually the kind of tone I'm okay with in a movie, but for this one, it just didn't quite do it.
I don't think this movie knew what it was supposed to be. I feel like they had a couple of drafts that they went through and they picked pieces out of each one. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it was fine. It was fine. Like the first, 2/3 of this movie, it was okay. And then the third act, it just lost me. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I can't really put myself in her shoes because I too would have walked in and be like, Mom, or or I've been like the doll, and I would have tried to grab the doll and maybe shot the guy in the leg because he would have tried to stop. I don't know. It was interesting. It lost me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I like big gonzo twists usually for this, but I mean, we watched Malignant, and it has the biggest gonzo twist of like fucking gonzo twists.
Love
It's like
that
we're
movie.
in this like giallo movie. The next thing we know, we have this mutant growing in the back of her head, fucking murdering people, and
Yes.
either you love that or you hate it. And I loved it. I was, we all liked it a lot. We're like, this is fucking great. But
So fun.
this one wasn't fun, and it just was kind of like, yeah, it was slightly confusing. I mean, I understood basically what it was trying to say and what it was doing, but you're right, it's not very satisfying because like the movie it doesn't even end on like a like, oh, we got him and we got but he's still out there kind of thing. It just kind of like they ran out of film. It ends, and it's like, yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't hate it necessarily, but I don't like it. Yeah, it wasn't for me either. This ending. So what do you guys think of this movie in general? Longlegs. Let's talk about it. Are you giving it a 5, Derek? You're muted, so I don't know what you're saying.
I am gonna give it a 5, and I'm also like, get this away from me. Get it away.
Stop in the
But
name of love.
I am gonna give it a 5 because I I just kind of don't know what kind of movie it was trying to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lydia?
I told you guys earlier that I watched this like 2 days ago now, so it's not super fresh. Like I usually watch it like right before I get on. But I can't say that it's one that I am like excited to watch again. So I think 5 is about there because I did like the cinematography and I wanted to like the direction that the movie was going in. But the fact that I really did kind of predict every single thing that was going to happen, and it didn't quite, like, I probably would have done it a little differently if it was my movie, but it's not, so it's fine. I really like this actress a lot, and I thought Nick Cage did fantastic. I thought he did great. I thought it was really cool. The really creepy character, they just didn't quite pull it off in the way that I would have hoped. So
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you guys too. Like while I was watching it, even I was kind of like, like there's things in it that I really liked. Like I love the production design. I love the cinematography. I like the direction. I think the shot composition is really good. I think it moves along decently, but it's a little slow. It's under 2 hours, so it's not like aggressively like boring, so to say. It does feel a little long legs sometimes. But but yeah, it's yeah, I mean, there's stuff in it that I liked. I think the performances are solid all the way around. Blair Underwood as as her boss is good. There is a beat that rang false to me, which is when Longlegs smashes his face, and then the boss like berates Lee. He's been on her side this whole time, but then he just berates her, and he's like, oh, this blah blah. Now maybe the doll had already been there, for all we know. Maybe that's why he's acting weird. But it just seemed completely out of character from the rest of the movie for him. I don't know about that. But it also was weird that they show up at the birthday party and there's nobody else there. It's just them. That's weird too.
That is weird.
Yeah. So who knows? But I give it about a 5 too. There's stuff in it that I want to give it higher, but it just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me.
I feel the same. Yeah, I like really wanted it to work. I honestly thought that this was going to be like really scary, and I was kind of putting off watching it because I was like, ooh, like a serial killer, like it's gonna be intense, you know. But it really wasn't that intense.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So guys, it's time to Atkinize this movie. Who would the great Tom Atkins play in this?
Thrill me.
Well,
the I guess there's not many characters, so probably her superior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who I would pick.
Yeah. Because there's not very many. There's not enough characters in there to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To pick from. So, Longlegs. It's okay. Maybe you guys let us know down below what you guys think of it. Are we off base? Explain to us why you like it, if you like it so much. But I think we're sitting in that C+ audience score range. What do you guys think, right?
Yep.
I don't know if I'd give it the plus, but
You just weren't feeling this one, were you, Derek?
I was feeling it for like most of the movie, and then it didn't stick the landing like at all.
So guys, it's my pick. So I get to decide what we watch next. And I've had a couple of films mulling around in the old noodle. What are you guys in the mood for? You in the mood for another serial killer movie? Are you in the mood for a super dark, scary fest? Or are you in the mood for something fun? A silent film, Derek? You're
No, now it's not gonna be as impactful, so I'm not gonna say what I said that you couldn't hear.
Do it. We'll just cut. It'll be like nothing ever happened.
All right, fine. I like chocolates. That's what I said.
I'm glad you were muted for that. To be honest.
We need to get Derek a doctor.
So
He's
you
going
want
downhill
something
fast.
So I'm guessing you want something fun, Derek.
He wants something savory.
So let's see. I have 2 movies, A or B. You guys pick which one you want, A or B.
Lydia, you pick.
Let's go A.
Okay, Derek, A or B?
You said A. I'll go with A.
All right, A is what we have here. And A is a very fun movie. We are doing the 3rd part of the trilogy created by Sam Raimi. We are going to do Army of Darkness.
Nice.
A for Army of Darkness. So we're going to do Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness, which, spoiler alert, we're going to give high marks because it's fucking Army of Darkness. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's Army of Darkness. So let's see where Army of Darkness is streaming. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for us. I think we all own it. Right?
I think so.
So Army of Darkness is streaming on AMC Plus, the Roku channel. You can buy it on YouTube, Apple TV, Sling TV, Philo, and Google Play and Amazon. So, Army of Darkness, you can watch it there. I own it on 4K, the Shout Factory 4K, and it is beautiful. We are going to watch the theatrical cut, by the way, because there's multiple cuts of Army of Darkness. So I think it makes the most sense just to watch the theatrical cut, and then maybe in the future we'll review the the director's cut, and then the international cut and stuff. But basically, the director's cut has longer. It's longer, has more scenes, and has the alternate ending. So we're just going to do the theatrical cut because that's the most available. That's probably the one that's streaming. Is the theatrical cut. So Sam Raimi's 1993 classic Army of Darkness. Yeah. So that's it, guys. I'm not gonna have Derek tell the story because he can barely talk. So just stay tuned for all the fun news we're gonna have coming up. Go to the right here, watch the opening scene, and we have some news coming up for you on that. So until then, next week you're gonna be watching Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness, starring the vulnerable Bruce Campbell. So until next week for Jamie Hiles, or until next week for Lydia Judy and Derek Lemaster, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.